central banks want to boost inflation. We really don't know how to do it. We don't have the tools that allow us to do this in a reliable way. And as a result, you have all these extraordinary policies which have, in many ways, marginal effects. After 8 years of QE, we have got inflation to what? About 2%. So the point here really is that we don't have too many answers to low inflation, as a result of which we have to be careful that we don't focus too much on that as the be-all and end-all of central bank activity. If inflation is low, well, try and make sure it doesn't sort of start getting into serious deflation, but you really have to wait for time to heal matters and other policies to kick in to get inflation back up. One of the fears is that the world may change in a more rapid way than we think, and you don't want to be seen behind the curve at that point. So I think some normalization is warranted up to a point where things, are more neutral, at which point you pause and see what the effects are. Look at overall leverage. Post-crisis, it hasn't come down despite all the talk about the need to deleverage. It's shifted sometimes from private sector balance sheets to public sector balance sheets. Overall leverage has actually gone up. It's also, there's a lot of leverage which has built up in emerging markets, but even in industrial countries, there are spots where it has picked up significantly. China, of course, has been the poster child for increasing debt post-financial crisis. The government can allocate losses a lot more than, for example, it can in the United States. So even though the bankruptcy system is not as effective, the ability of the government to say, hey, you extend this loan and don't demand that it be paid back now, because a lot of the money flows through the public sector system in China. It has some of that ability. Now, eventually they want a market system to work. So they have to move away from this sense that they can fix the system when it gets into trouble. They have to let the market do a lot more. But at least at this point, they have that ability.